After one of the best lazy weekends in recent memory, Jurgen was at the entrance lobby of the Apex facility, chatting with some colleagues, before the doors for the research hub of the main dome were unlocked. Just as he and his four-man crew got inside, they realized something was off. The night crew was missing. Karkin and the others were supposed to be in there, waiting for their shift to end. "Think they decided to go home sooner?" asked one of the Jurgen subordinates. "Don't think so. That would be a major protocol violation," answered another one. "Maybe they're at the dome." Before Jurgen could stop him, the employee swiped his card across the sensor of the gate that led to the biodome. The sensor lit with an approving green, and the gate slowly started opening until it suddenly came to a grinding halt, an ominous error tune signaling that something was not right. "What the? Something's blocking the gate from the other side. If this is a retaliation prank, it has gone way too far, Karkin. Come out wherever you are." As the silence lay unbroken, Jurgen spoke again to his team, a much more serious and concerned tone on his voice. "They must be in the dome. Run the bioscans." "On it, sir," readily answered one of the researchers. "Huh. The sensor is not online. The automatic link is missing." "What do you mean missing?" "It's right outside the gate. And it's stuck to the ground with a metal rod," contested another researcher. "Okay fellas, not liking this at all. Maybe one Barligan survived the last purge, those are sneaky mofos. Get your gear, we are moving into the dome via the back gate. If we make it to the master sensor in the center, we can find where they are for sure," ordered Jurgen, his military training taking over. The five-man team quickly opened the on-site armory, equipping the standard issue armors and rifles for such a scenario, and moved to the secondary doorway, forming up just outside the door. Moving efficiently towards the main gate, covering each other's blind spots, it didn't take long for them to find out what had happened to the automatic link, the device installed inside the dome, responsible for linking up the main sensors with the research hub. The small computer lay on the floor, completely smashed to bits, but that was not the worst of it. The 5 centimeters wide steel rod that fixed the link to the ground had been ripped off, the jagged metal on the foundation, a testimony to this. It also appeared that it had been cleaved in half afterwards, with one half being bent and used to block the main gate. The bent steel emanating an eerie atmosphere, as if it had been melted into place and had always been part of the structure. "Oh, what the fuck?" murmured the crew almost in unison. "Stay sharp. Whatever did this is still around here. We need to get to the main sensor block." "Move out," Jurgen ordered confidently. Wasting no time, the crew started moving inland into the forest, hoping to use the sensors to find their comrades. It didn't take long to do so. One of the crew members suddenly tripped and fell. His scream led Jurgen to believe he had hurt himself until he saw why he screamed, that is. He had tripped on a corpse. Karkin's corpse. The corpse was slightly covered in dust and dirt, but even more staggering was the cause of death. It seemed like he had been cooked from the inside out, with burn marks covering his face and hands. Even worse though, was the fact that something had tampered with the corpse. His arm was laying unnaturally, the index finger pointing straight ahead, as if showing them the path. The team reeled back in shock, someone threw up, Jurgen froze, facing the horror that lay ahead of them. After a minute of recompassing themselves, the leader finally spoke, all traces of the brave and determined self he was a minute ago, gone, drowned in the shock of seeing such a friendly coworker dead. "Whatever it is, it left us a message. Let's go in that direction, see where it takes us." In hindsight, that would seem a terrible decision, but everyone was still recompassing from the shock, and no one raised any objections. As they wandered into the forest, which became more and more dense, the team started noticing all of the wildlife that was present. Birds chirped on the trees, oblivious to the horror on the ground. Plants swung with the breeze, not a care in the world, and for a moment everything felt alright, and there was peace. That is, until they arrived at a small clearing. There lay the rest of the night shift. Dead, worse than dead, impaled. Something had ripped off branches from the trees, sharpened them, and impaled the dead bodies on a line, all of them now staring at the newcomers, a morbid reception team. One of the bodies had been stripped clean of its flesh, little more than bones and tendons remaining. Shock and horror, primal fear swept through the scientists, one of them convulsing and vomiting, the same one that had done so when they had found the first corpse. All of them took a step back, reeling with fear and disgust. They had learned in school about fight or flight, that instinct that was common among so many life forms. They had forgotten about its less-known cousin, freeze. Even the nature fell silent, as all birds silenced themselves, and it seemed that even the breeze had died out. A silence broken only by the vomiting of their colleague, whose convulsions grew only in strength. When Jurgen snapped out of it and looked at his colleague, who was still vomiting, to check if he was all right, he quickly realized that he wasn't. Green blood poured out of his mouth in droves, mixing with the vomit that already coated the floor. It was then that he noticed it, almost imperceptible, a small green stinger lodged on Jurius's neck. Jurgen's biology degree kicked in, and he immediately recognized the stinger. A defense mechanism of the deadly death crown plant, and as far as he knew, it lacked any capability to launch its stingers at a range. But of course, they couldn't have heard the blowgun as it launched the fatal stinger. There was nothing he could do but watch his friend convulse one last time and collapse, dead. No, it can't be. Desperately uttered another crew member as he started backing away from the fresh corpse. One fatal step too far. The trap struck immediately, the rope grabbing Arkish's ankle and lifting him off the ground, stuck upside down hanging by a tree, about 3 meters from the ground. "Get me down from here," were his last words as the next stage of trap was activated by the weight on the branch. A rope swung towards the young man, a rock tied to its end, describing an almost perfect, elegant arch as it smashed the stone into Arkish's skull, and he struggled no more, the silence of death taking over as a viscous mix of blood and brain matter oozed out of the cracked skull and onto the forest floor. Author's name and the link to original text is in the description.